Picture it. You are floating in warm, waist-deep water on a bright afternoon, the sun on your shoulders, the sand soft under your feet. A wave lifts you gently, and then, somewhere out past the break, a dark fin cuts the surface. It is the oldest fear we have: a shark. The word alone tightens something in your chest. So here is the question hiding under all that fear, the one your body is already asking. If that shark came for you right now, could you actually survive it? And the honest answer is stranger than the fear. Because most people who are bitten by a shark do not die. They swim home. They tell the story. The real question is not whether you can survive. It is how, and why so much of what you believe about that moment is wrong. So let's start with the thing nobody feels in the water, even though it is the truest thing of all. How rare this actually is. Not rare like a nice surprise. Rare like something that almost never happens to anyone. Ever. In all of 2024, across every beach and reef and surf break on Earth, there were 47 unprovoked shark bites. Not deaths. Bites. Out of billions of us who went into the sea that year. It was the lowest number in 28 years. And of those 47, 4 were fatal. 4 people in the entire world in a whole year. To put that beside something ordinary, in that same year, far more people died falling out of bed or slipping in the shower at home on dry land. Here's the number that really lands it. Over your whole life, your odds of being killed by a shark are about 1 in 4 million. You are roughly 50 times more likely to be killed by a lightning strike, 10 times more likely by a firework. So the creature we fear above almost all others is one of the least likely things in the world to ever harm us. Which raises a stranger question. If sharks are not out there hunting us, then on those rare days when one does bite, why does it happen at all? And the answer is not what the films taught you. It is almost never hunger. A shark does not look at a human and see a meal. Most of the time, it looks at a human and sees something else entirely. It makes a mistake. In 2021, scientists at Macquarie University in Australia did something clever. They built a shark's eye view. They filmed seals and swimmers and surfers paddling on boards, all from below, then ran the footage through a model of how a young great white actually sees. And here's what they found. To a great white looking up from the dark, a person swimming, a person paddling a surfboard, and a seal all look basically the same. The sharks cannot see fine detail or color, just a dark shape, at the surface, moving. Now hold that thought and think of a surfer. Lying flat on a board, arms paddling out to the sides, legs trailing. From underneath, against the sunlight, that is the exact shape of a seal. Which is exactly why surfers, of everyone in the water, are bitten the most. And it is often the young sharks that get it wrong. Juveniles, only just learning to hunt seals, still clumsy at telling one dark shape from another. A teenage shark, making a teenage mistake, in water it is still figuring out. So the bite, when it comes, is not an ambush by a monster that wanted you. It is a case of mistaken identity by an animal that thought you were lunch and is about to discover, very quickly, that you are not. And what happens next is the part that saves lives. Because a shark has no hands. It cannot pick something up to examine it. The only way it has to investigate a strange object in its world is to put it in its mouth. That first bite is often not an attack at all. It is a question. And when it gets its answer, when it tastes lean muscle and bone instead of the thick, oily fat of a seal, it is usually disappointed. Humans are not what it wanted. So in most cases, the shark simply lets go. One bite, and it leaves. That single fact is why more than 8 in 10 people who are bitten survive. The danger was never a feeding frenzy. It is that one bite from a mouth that size can do terrible damage before the shark realizes its error. So your survival comes down to a narrow window, and what you do inside it. So let's step inside that window. The fin is close now. The water has gone quiet in that way it does when everything in you narrows to one thing. What do you actually do? And just as importantly, what does everyone get wrong? Start with the biggest myth of all: playing dead. With a bear, sometimes, stillness works. In the ocean, it is the worst thing you can do. A shark is a predator built to test the water for the weak, the easy, the already dying. Go limp, and you become exactly that. So you do the opposite of everything your terror is screaming at you. You do not freeze. You do not thrash and flee blindly, splashing, because splashing is the sound of a struggling animal, and that only draws it in. Instead, you turn and you face it. You keep the shark in sight. Sharks like to approach from below and behind, from your blind spot. So you turn with it, always watching, always facing. An animal that knows it has been seen loses the advantage of surprise, and often loses interest too. And if it does bite, if those jaws close, this is the moment to throw everything you have. You fight back. Hard. Not wild, panicked flailing, but aimed. Deliberate blows at the places that actually hurt a shark. there are three targets: the eyes, the gills, and the snout. The eyes and gills are the softest, most sensitive parts of the whole animal. A hard jab there is genuinely painful to a shark, and pain is usually enough to make it let go and leave. The nose is stranger, and this is one of those facts that stays with you. A shark's snout is covered in tiny pores, an extra sense we do not have, that reads faint electrical signals in the water. It is how it hunts in the dark. So when you strike that snout, you are not just hitting a nose. You are overloading one of its most delicate senses all at once, like a camera flash going off in your eyes in a dark room. It is disorienting enough to stop a shark mid-motion. And the moment it lets go, you do not celebrate and you do not linger. You back away. Slowly, steadily, still facing it, still watching, toward the shore or the boat. No frantic splashing that says wounded prey. Calm, deliberate distance. That is the whole playbook. It sounds almost too simple. Face it, fight it, back away. But simple is exactly what you need. Because in that moment, your mind will not be calm. And to show you that this really works, that real people really do this, let me tell you about a teenager on a bodyboard. His name is Mike Coots. It was an October morning in 1997, off the Hawaiian island called Kauai. He was 18 years old, out in the dawn light with friends, doing the thing he loved most, waiting on his board for the next wave. He felt it before he saw it. A tiger shark, coming up from below, closed its jaws around his legs and pulled him under. One moment, the ordinary morning. The next, he was being dragged into the dark by something enormous he had never even seen coming. And here's the thing, he did not freeze. Something in him, call it instinct, call it luck, did the right thing. He balled up his fist and he punched the shark in the face. Again, and again, and again. And it worked. The tiger shark let go. Mike got back onto his board and his friends helped him to shore. And it was only there, on the sand, that he understood the price. The shark had taken his right leg, below the knee. But he lived. That is the part to hold on to. A tiger shark had him in its jaws and dragged him under, and he is alive today because in the worst moment of his life, he did the one thing that gives you a chance. He fought back at the face. And here is the reframe that makes his story bigger than his story. Mike Coots did not come out of that water hating sharks. He became a photographer who dives with them and one of the loudest voices in the world defending them. The man they nearly killed spends his life protecting them because he understood what the numbers have been telling us all along. That the shark is not the villain we cast it as. For every rare human a shark harms, we kill them in numbers that are hard to even picture. Tens of millions of sharks every single year. So think back to where we started. You, floating in warm water, and that dark fin out past the break, and the old fear rising in your chest. Almost everything that fear was telling you was wrong. It told you a bite means death, when more than 8 in 10 people live. It told you a shark wants to eat you, when it almost always just mistook your shape for a seal. It told you to freeze, when freezing is the one thing that could get you killed. The shark's reputation was always far larger than the shark. We gave it teeth in our imagination that it never had in the sea. And the strange, quiet gift of knowing all this is what it does to that fear. Because fear feeds on not knowing. The moment you understand why it might bite and what to do if it ever did, the terror loses its grip. It becomes something smaller. A plan. Face it. Fight for the eyes, the gills, the nose. Back away slowly. So the honest answer to the question you started with is yes. You very probably could survive a shark attack. Most people do. And knowing that is what turns the oldest fear we carry into something you can look straight in the eye. The fin slips beneath the surface, and this time, you simply watch it go.